Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of NTI PodTalk. This is the platform where we talk to students and instructors and people in the community about food and nutrition and everything that is about food and wellness. Today, we are talking to one of our staff members, Karen Hardy. I think it's really important that people see that, you know, we are real people that are behind the scenes here at NTI. And so we're going to be doing some interviews with our staff members. So Karen Hardy is one of our office staff members. And so welcome, Karen. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Diane.
Yeah. So Karen is not only a staff member, but she's also a graduate of our program. She took both our NTMC program and our Natural Food Chef training program. So she is well experienced in all of our curriculum. Just before we get started, Karen, can you talk about what brought you to NTI? Why did you want to come to school and what made you choose NTI?
Thanks, Diane. Thanks for the introduction. Landing at NTI, I don't even think I realized that that's where I was headed. Because for me, it was a process that sort of occurred over a number of years. I grew up in a time when fast food was really coming into its own. I had a single mom who, working single mom who would take us to McDonald's once a week, and packaged foods was really on the rise. And also it was also during this time when we were all led to believe that fat is bad and fat makes you fat, and so processed foods were coming up strong. Right. And I'll tell you, I because that was the party line, I thought it was true. I thought non-fat milk was good and all of those things. So that's just sort of where I came from. Mm-hmm. And then probably 2012, maybe, I started seeing some documentaries or some shows online, docu-series. It just sort of progressed. I'd start seeing these, maybe the first one was about juicing, and that was just that little bit that got it started. Right. And then I ended up watching a docu-series, listening to most of the docu-series that Dr. Hyman put on. Uh-huh. And he's talking to all these different experts over the course of 30 days. I think he did an hour a day or something like that. And I started learning things that I had absolutely no idea. And one of those things was about autoimmunity. Uh-huh. I didn't even really understand what autoimmunity was. Mm-hmm. And so that was the progression. And so, you get into one podcast or one web series, and then you get notified about another one and another one. And
right.
So I kept watching them. And at one point, and I like this part of the story, is at one point I was thinking to myself, thought, all right, what can I do? It might be too late for me to become a doctor at this point. And I don't even know if I'm interested in being a doctor.
Right.
But what can I do with some of this information? Because it was really exciting. Mm-hmm. To find out what nutrition and food and whole foods, can do for a body. Mm-hmm. And so as soon as I sort of put that question out into the ether, mm-hmm. on one of these webinars that I was watching, a woman was on the screen. I honestly don't remember her name at this point, mm-hmm. but her title was MNT.
Ah,
And she was from, Denver, Colorado.
mhm.
And so I looked her up online and
Mhm.
found out that she was a graduate of NTI.
Nice.
Yeah. And I didn't know NTI existed.
Right.
So to find something that was exactly the answer I was looking for in my own backyard
Yeah. At the right time.
at the right time, right when I was, and so it really didn't take long from there.
Mhm.
I came to an afternoon information session that they had in person at the time, and I know you do webinars every week now.
Yeah.
I went to one of those and I applied, and and I started January of 2017.
Nice.
Mhm.
Well, that is very much, I think, the typical story that people have. They, for one reason or another, a lot of times it has to do with, some sort of health condition that they themselves or a family member has, or something sparks an interest and prompts them to go searching for something about food and nutrition. And they get this little ember growing of interest in nutrition. And then, they do exactly what you did. They do the webinars, they do the podcast, they learn more and more, and they become passionate about it because they see the value and the importance of diet and making sure that you're eating a nutrient dense food, nutrient dense diet, and excluding certain types of foods or ingredients that are going to be beneficial for certain wellness outcomes. And so they develop this passion, and then suddenly they start thinking, well, wait a minute, like this is really interesting, and I'm learning so much. Number one, I want to learn more. And number two, I want to be able to share what I know with others. And I want to be, sort of a beacon of new information to those who may not know this kind of stuff. And so they, like yourself, they didn't even know that this is a thing. Like, nutrition, that's a thing, and then, oh, wait a minute, there's actually a school that you can go to develop that knowledge and gain the expertise and the skills in the subject, so that they can share what they know from a place of credibility and true knowledge and deep understanding of all of the biochemistry and all that kind of stuff. And then also they can turn it into a new career if that is their choice. I mean, you didn't come from a career in health, in the field of health.
Right.
And so for many people, it's a really dramatic 180 health or career change in the field of health and wellness. So that's very typical of the story of many of our students, I think.
Right. And as you say, I had no science background, and that thought I had of, well, I don't know about becoming a doctor at this point,
Yeah.
but, nonetheless, I got science. I got some, the curriculum with NTI starts out with the science
Mm-hmm.
of the body and the
Mhm.
science of nutrients in the body and how they operate, what pathways they take. And had been out of school for quite some time, but I started this, and because it interests me so much, I did very well, actually, even though they were topics that that were completely new to me.
Yeah, well, and I was going to ask, like, how was that for you to be embarking on on a field and content that you didn't have a background in? How was that for you?
Because I think of the way that the courses are laid out, and the instructors are so knowledgeable as well. I did in-person classes. My very first class was in person, and that was anatomy and physiology. So there was a lot of interaction. As I say, and I probably surprised myself more than anyone in that, yes, I am able to grasp this material and understand it. My second class, which is biochemistry for the nutritionist, that one, because of my schedule, I ended up taking online. And and this is biochemistry. I didn't know. Yeah. And again, because of the presentation of the material, the fact that all of the courses with NTI just build on each other. So it's, even though I may not grasp a particular concept or feel like, oh my God, there's so much information here, it's going to come back.
Right.
It's discussed in other, in each course as it goes along. And so it just starts to become clearer and clearer. And you remember something from biochemistry in the next course, and so on and so forth. So I really think it's the way that the curriculum is built is makes it accessible for anyone with any background, even those, who have maybe a medical background or a science background.
Yeah. Yeah. And I always say, when I teach, I always say, remember from biochemistry, or remember from A&P, because I want people to be able to recall what they learned in those foundational science courses and bring that to the forefront and now make it make sense, when you're actually applying what you learned in some sort of a, nutrition situation. So I always say those, and a lot of times people are like wide eyes, like, I don't remember that, so we review it a little bit, but we call that a spiral curriculum, where we teach something at a basic level, and then we come back to it, and then another course we come back to it, and then another course we come back to it, and we build and we build and we build, so that you accumulate this knowledge over a period of time where it doesn't feel so overwhelming, because it's being accumulated little bits at a time as you go through each course.
Yeah, and I really do think that setup is what makes it certainly is what gave me success in the program.
Yeah.
And I think that's, it's beneficial to everyone that comes here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. So you started in 2017. And I know you did both programs. So when did you graduate your nutrition program, and then you kind of did NFC together, overlap?
I did a little bit. I had my final project, the independent study. That was, I basically applied for or registered for that course, which goes over a 20-week period, and the natural food chef program at the same time. So I had been through, all but the one course, and then I started NFC. And so the way that it worked out, I graduated with my nutrition certification in May of 2020. And then in June of 2020, graduated with the natural food chef certification. So it also right in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Or not the middle really, but the beginning of it.
Yeah.
So so from literally January of 2017 and for the one program to May of 2020.
So I think this is really a good topic that you have some expertise in students who choose to take both programs. So
Mm.
can you talk about why you chose to take NFC? NFC, for those who don't know, is our natural food chef training program. So what, you're doing your nutrition, you're doing NTMC, and learning about nutrition, and then you decide to go for the chef program. So what made you decide to do the chef program, and sort of at the same time, but what made you decide to do that?
Well, for me, it was, financially able at that time. So that had something to do with the timing of it. But also, I just thought it could do nothing but enhance the nutrition piece. And I know there's often discussion about, well, which one should I take first or what?
Right.
I really hadn't even considered the chef program because to be honest with you, as I said at the beginning of that program, I don't like to cook. And so the main reason I did it was so that I could learn how to make food taste good. Aside from learning to cook with the quality ingredients that I had now, come to understand is really key to our health. It's not enough to just, go to the grocery store and pick just any, piece of produce or any piece of it. There really is a difference in quality versus, I don't know, we want to say quantity or not, but
right.
Yeah. So with NFC, I would learn how to target certain organ systems. I would learn how to do different types of cooking. There's one assignment where you cook for someone, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it should be, targeted to a condition or a certain dietary preference. And so, because this is very foreign to me, because I am a meat eater, I chose to do vegan. And I cooked for someone who's vegan. And so I just, I primarily entered the NFC program so that I could learn how to cook and make food taste good, be able to learn how to season. And I'll tell you, I don't know if you're going to ask me this, but my confidence level in the kitchen has just grown. I can now take whatever is in the refrigerator, whether I have all the specific ingredients or not, and make a meal and make a good, make a dish.
Yeah, that's great. Another student who did both programs, what she told me is that she was doing the nutrition program and she was learning all of these important, features of eating well and how it was beneficial to health and wellness. But she didn't know how to cook, and she felt like a fraud because she's training to tell her clients how to eat better. And from that perspective, she felt comfortable in being able to tell her clients how to eat better, but she herself didn't feel like she had the skills that were necessary to implement her own guidance that she would be providing because she didn't know how to cook. And so that prompted her to want her to take the NFC program as well.
Right. And I did, many people go into the chef program to become a personal chef,
That's right.
And that was not my goal, but it was definitely, besides my own personal, because again, you mentioned it in the beginning. I mean, it's usually a personal challenge or journey or whatever it is that brings us here.
Right.
And, but the NFC could only enhance.
Right.
The nutrition knowledge that I had. And I think that's a really good point to be able to give people the practical information to, carry it out.
Right. Well, and I just want to, make it clear that we don't require that our students do both programs, and certainly there is no requirement of that. And you can definitely be a nutrition therapist without being a natural food chef, and vice versa. So for those listening who, who think that you have to do both programs, that is not a requirement, but it is often something that people choose to do. So.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So in the middle of your going to school and doing both programs and graduating, you obviously came to work at NTI as a staff member. We're going to talk about that in a moment. But have you been utilizing your nutrition skills? Have you been working with clients? What are you doing with your nutrition and the enhancement of being a natural food chef? What are you doing with those skills now?
I'm still primarily using them for myself. I certainly do talk to friends, and give, hopefully not unwarranted advice, or not, right, or unsolicited, I guess I should say. It's important to, make sure you give information to people that want it.
Right.
Rather than people who need it, which
sometimes they aren't the same person.
Yeah, that's not always the same person, for sure, because everyone has to come to this, at some point. But but that's why NTI is here. So I do have a business name set up, a website. I mean, I'm ready to take clients, but I think, primarily I graduated, like I say, in the middle of 2020.
Yeah.
I just, haven't really gotten that part of it going. I am working with an established nutritionist in the Denver Boulder area, just sort of interning under her.
Yeah.
And, so just continuing to gain experience and.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what's going on.
All right. Well, so let's talk about your working at NTI. So, what do you do? What is your job here? And, of course I know, but I want to make sure that everyone knows so that when they call and they get someone on the phone,
right,
and that person is named Karen, they can put a face to who they're talking to. So.
Right. Well, I come from a long administrative background. That's what I, have. That's been the career and the history and the experience. So I work I'm one of the office office administrative managers, or something like that. That's what it is. There's in administration.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I work with the students as far as our LMS, our learning management system, kind of a liaison for that. I do some IT, in that regard. Finance, financial stuff, just kind of keeping track of things.
Yeah.
All the administration.
And you do a very good job at that. You're very well organized and very detail oriented. So your position in administration is very much beneficial and warranted. So
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. So talking to your boss here, but what's your favorite aspect of your work here at NTI?
Well, I gave this a little bit of thought, actually. I mean, the administrative work is just something I do and know and do well, I think.
Yes.
And
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But my favorite part about working at NTI is this collaboration that we have that with the owners, yourself and Chris, your husband, and the rest of our team. This is very much from day one been a collaborative effort. Day one that I've, not of the school, but that I've come to join the team, that we really talk to each other and listen and collaborate on how we want to move forward, and having that common goal that we have to provide students that the best educational experience.
That's right.
That we can provide. Because I know this I know it doesn't sound like too much to you because you have the same mindset. Our programs at NTI are literally can change the world.
Yeah.
One student at a time. And so to be a part of that collaborative effort, to carry out, what is that kind of bigger mission. Being a student at the school really helped me understand that this information and the work that we do is really important. And we need more of us. Yeah. So I would say that's probably my favorite part. It's one of the one of the most pleasant work environments that I've honestly ever had. And a lot of that is due to you and to Chris. So and just having a really great team. Yeah.
Well, I call our team a synergistic ecosystem. So I really see, our team as being very cohesive, very, they anticipate each other's needs and help each other. And as you say, we're very collaborative. When there are big decisions to make, we make them as a team. And so, I think that brings something to the table for our students, because our students benefit by that. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so, our staff, they're not going out to lunch on the days that they're working. Everybody packs their lunch. So what kind of things do you bring? What are your favorite things to bring for lunch?
Well, I will often bring not only lunch, but breakfast. And so I might have an egg scramble with some seasoned organic grass-fed meat. And some greens for breakfast, or a smoothie, or something along that line. For lunch, I don't know if I have a particular favorite. Often I might roast some vegetables and have that. But one of the things that I do like about the fact that we all bring our lunches and is that we talk about food.
Yeah.
we talk about, what did you bring? How did you make that? Where'd you make it in? Where'd you get the meat? Or, one of our team is particularly fond of organ meat. And so we get to try each other's, foods as well. And I was talking to one of our team members who on a particular day was working at home because her mother was visiting. And we were talking, and I was telling her everything that I was having for lunch. And her mother was in the background saying, "Why is she telling you everything she's eating?" And I said, "Because that's what we do."
Right.
And then I asked my other two coworkers and told them about the conversation, and they said, without prompting, "Well, that's what we do." These are my people.
Right.
Right. And we talk about food.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's funny. Okay, so I'm eternally grateful to all of our staff members and the hours that you put in at our office to make NTI a great place. But you obviously have a life outside of NTI. So what kind of hobbies do you have? What kind of things do you like to do outside of work?
Well, I wish I had this wonderful list of telling all the fabulous things I do. But I mean, I do enjoy getting together with friends and going to have coffee. And I see a trainer once to twice a week. I'm hoping to move it up to twice a week coming up soon. And I read books on mindful nutrition and and doing some meditation on that same topic, like intuitive eating. And so that's sort of an area that I'm interested in now. So, and actually, I'll tell you, I watch a lot of television. I like a good binge.
Yeah, a good
of-
Netflix binge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I have a scooter, which, I, in the summertime, like to, I will bring it to work. And so I like taking rides out on my little 125 scooter.
Nice. Cool. Well, this has been a thoroughly enjoyable conversation for me. I hope you've enjoyed it. So before we leave, you mentioned that you have a website. Do you want to tell people what your website is and maybe where they can find you in other areas if you are in other areas?
Yeah, I can be reached. My business name is Hearty Holistic Nutrition. So I have a website of the same name, heartyholisticnutrition.com. And then I'm also on Facebook and Instagram, albeit not horribly active, but I do have those things set up.
Yeah.
And I can be reached, I can be reached in all three of those venues.
Right. Good. Well, thank you so much, Karen. This has been really fun. And as I mentioned before, I want people to know that we are real people, and kind of get an idea of who we are so that when people call, and anyone in our office picks up, they can put a face to a name and kind of remember little bits of the conversations that we're having. So thank you so much for your time today. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks, Diane. You as well.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.